Okay, today we are going to make something improvised. So let's go to Sublime Text, and I want to do a little game just to learn how to use Python. I guess you have installed Python and you want to learn how to use it. So we'll start from the very basic, and we want to make a memory game that I will improvise right now. And I got a sort of idea, but I'm gonna define it while we are doing this. So um, you know how Pygame works, and it's easy to create variables that takes numbers, and you print just like this. This variable can be also strings. There we go, and can be also a list of strings or number. You can print like this. You can also use this, and it will print each one like this one, or you can use a separator like a new line. You can go like this. And so you also have, so apart from list, you get tuple. That the difference is that the tuple, you cannot change the value inside of them, but the result is the same. But if I do so, there is an error, you can see, because I cannot change the tuple. It will stay the same. Instead, if I got a list, I can change it. And what we have also, we have series. That is always here a collection of stuff. And one thing in series is that you cannot have uh, you two items with the same name. And so then what we have is dictionaries, and we can store things like a name, John, then put a comma, and you can write it like this if you don't want to stay on the same name too. Alice, and then you're gonna print it, and you can see that you're gonna have the key here. These are the keys, and these are the values linked to the keys. So you can now, so this thing here is useful to unpack this thing. Otherwise, you would have just this. You can iterate, of course, into your lists or dictionaries, and for n in a, print a, print n, sorry. And so you get the keys, and but you can also have a of n. That means that you take this that has this inside, and it will give you the value that it's John and Alice. Okay, if so, you can do a comma, sorry, and comma, and you have name John, name Alice. Okay, so you can do so, and then if you want, you could also you can also enumerate a list or a dictionary. In this case, it's a dictionary, and just in case. And if we, instead of this, we had a list, it's more maybe intuitive what this is. Yeah. Okay, so you got, with enumerate, you can have the index here and the value here, because I repeat, if you do n for n in a, that is a typical Pythonista thing. This is one of the main characteristics here, is to that you can iterate through a list like this in a very simple way. But if you want to have the index, you can use enumerate a. And then you go e comma and you get the index. You could also, if you don't like this, you could also use index. For example, do e equal a index n. It will tell you which is the position of n in a, and so it's the same like before. There we go. You see, you get the, let me print just this so that you can see. Okay, that is the index. So there are many ways to do things in Python, and you choose the one that you prefer. And so once we talked about a little bit about this variables, lists, dictionaries, etc., and how to iterate through them, that is a basic thing in Python. And another thing that you may want to know is if, how is used in Python. Maybe you want to do a 3 and a print true, and true is written this way in Python, and it's true if 1 and a print 2, and let's see else. Else print false. So in this case it's false. And so you don't need parentheses here. You can put them, but it's not necessary like in other languages like JavaScript. And yeah, now let's see how you can copy. If I list, if I do b equal a and I print I print both of them, you see that they are the same. You can see, and but um, okay, A is equal B means that they got the same element, and also they are the same, meaning that these are not different. They get a different name, but they point to the same object in the memory of the Python environment. So they point to this. In fact, even if they have two names, so they are not two different lists with the same object, but they are the same list with two names. In fact, if I go and change the first item and I go make it 7, then I print A, it's that. You see 7 is changed. If I print B, also B is changed because B is not different, but is just A with another name. So A and B points to the same place in the memory where the computer memory holds these three numbers in a list. So to make a copy, this is not making a copy, but this is given two names to the same list. Okay, if I want to make a copy, I have to do something different. I have to do, for example, this. You see, this is A that is changed to 7, and now let's see B. B it's still 3 because I cloned it here when it was 3, then I changed A, but B was not pointing at A. It was not just a different name for this, but it is another list in another place of the memory that got this same element, so it's independent. So now we have two different, so I can change A and B, and so I want to go and change also B, make it 11, the first element. So then I'm gonna print A and print B and see what they are like to explain this thing. And you see that they both change it, but independently. One is 7, one is 11. This doesn't interfere with this because now using this they are different. Instead, let me go back to this and replay. You see that I changed this to 7, then I changed the first element to 11, and they both change it to 11 because I'm acting always on the same list that is this. Both through this or this, I'm always acting on this. Instead, I repeat, if I do this, I create two of this. So there is this, then I copy the element of this into another space called B. So they are independent. There is a space A and space B with the same element but in different places, are two, let's say, two twin, but not the same person. Instead, if I do so, I haven't got two twin. I got the same person with a name and a nickname, but it's always the same person, to use this metaphor. Instead, here we have two twins independent. So one twin decided to cut his hair and make it blonde. Another makes hair blonde. So one got the short hair and one got the blonde hair, but they are different now independently. What the first twin does not affect on the second, and vice versa. Okay, there is another way to do it. You can use copy, and you see that remains the difference here. Okay, let me change the values so you can see that. I will also change the position. You see that they change it independently, always with a copy. It's the same. What this means, let me explain what this is. What this means that this B copies all the elements of A in another position. What is this? This means that is from element 0 to um, the last element. Okay, to the last element. It's not written, but it's, if you don't write anything, it means from 0 to the last element. You can choose what piece of, so from 3 to 80, and everything in the middle will be taken here with this sign. Instead, if you want to just take, let's say, not everything but just these two elements, I want to say not from element 0, because 0 is this, because lists starts from 0, like arrays in other languages. So it starts from 0, 0, element 0 is 3, element 1 is 76, element 2 is 80. So the first element has index 0, the second element has index 1, the third element has index 2, and so on. So if I want to take just the second and the third, I have to start not from 2, like you could imagine from the second, no, but since element in with index 1, because this is 0 and this is 1, so I want to take 76 to element 2. Let's see if this is right. No, it's not right, because as you can see, the element B doesn't take two elements that then changes to 12, like you can see here. Let me comment this so that you can leave it to 76, so it's more clear. And also this, let me comment this, because so it's more clear. So you see, it takes the second element here, but as I said, if I start from 1 to 2, where is 80? Well, this kind of slicing of a list, you have understood why this is 67. It's the index 1, 0, 1. But why, if I go from element 1 to element 2, doesn't take this one? Because it goes from element 1 to the one before 2, let's say so. So this will not be, in other words, this will not be included. So if you go from 1 to 2, not included. So it will go from 1 to 2 but not included, so it's just 76. So how can I go to the second element? You have to go to 3, that is the third element. Let's say that, let's put another element here, it's 5. So we now have from element 1 to element 2 and 3 of index, that are the second, the third, and the fourth element, but they have index 1, index 1, index 2, index 3. So it goes through index 1 to index 3, not included the third. So index 1, index 2, index 3 without the last, without, not included index 3. So guess what? We have the two elements. So you have to remember this. First of all, that this list starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. And so the first element, as we say in a normal way to say it, when we commonly speak about elements in a common way, we say the first element, the second. But with lists in Python and with arrays in general, in all programming language, as I know, they start from 0. So the first element is 0 and so on. And in Python here, the slicing, you can go from the first to the last with this, in this way. You can go from the second to the third with this. Yes. And if I go to third, we will not have 4 elements but just 3. We will have the 5, because it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4, we don't have another element. Let's add it. 100. We don't have it, but we want, you see here, we get all the elements, and here we just have 1, 2, 3, and the 4, index 4 is not included. Okay, so this is very useful. You can easily manipulate your string. What if you don't know how many items are here, and you want to take from the first to the last, but you won't have this, and you don't know how long is this? Because sometimes you can also add things in a list more times when the user makes something, etc., when the time passes for an event that you don't know. So maybe you have lists where you don't know how many items are there, but for some reason you want all the items but not the last one. Or maybe you just want the last one. If you want the last one to know, let's say if an user made an input and something has been an item has been put, a new item in the list, you just use -1. As you see now, B just has one element, that is the last one, that is 100. If you want to be not the last one but the one before the last one, and it's 5, and so on. So with minus you can get backwards from the can go backwards and go. And what if you want to take all the elements except the last? You go like this, that means from 0 to the end, but instead of the end you're gonna put -1, and you have all the elements but not the last one, without knowing how many elements are inside. But speaking of how many elements are inside of that, can we know, yes, how many elements are there, how many items? You just use len, and you see that there are 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one has index 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we wanna do know the index of the last one, so the len is 5. Okay, but the last one, last index, which is the last index? So let's do a dot index a minus 1. I don't know if there's, okay, let's see, print last index, and it's 4. Okay, so, and let me write here, what is it? Cento has index 4, but the length here, length the length is 5. The last index is 4. Why? Because it's always the length minus 1, because the index starts from 0, and so is always one a number behind the length. Okay, and so another thing that we gotta know to start with Python, knowing the very basic stuff, but it's 90% of what you need to know about Python. The other things that you will understand will be focused on what you need, because it's a multi-purpose language. You can use it for everything, so it will go deep in some aspects, in some that interest you, but these are the basics that goes for everything and will help you to do almost anything. So another thing you need to know, as you can see, I did change it. The first element, for example, I go and make it, I can also make it a string. I don't need to put just the same elements. This is another important thing to understand in Python. You see, I change it in a null. Then another thing that you need to know is, let me see if I can do add an element. No, I went out of range, but I can add an element doing dot append. There you go. I appended to the last one. But what if I wanna put something in here? And before the free, I don't know, insert expected to arguments. So maybe I must put a 0 here. Yes. Or I want to put it at first place. That means the second place, because remember this is index 1. That means the second element. So you can insert stuff like this. Can I eliminate something? Let's use pop. What happens? We don't have 100 anymore. Let's pop 0. If I do 0, you see it popped the first element. Let's pop minus 1. You may guess what happens. It's a less one, so it's the same that doing pop. Same exactly. But if I wanna do pop minus 2, the 5 is gone, number 5. So we learned also insert and pop. What else is important? So another thing important for the list that Python is great at and is different from other languages is that you can do operations like list, called list comprehension, and I can go, for example, and I can also create another another list like this instead of doing like I said, a with this or a dot copy. I can also do this. Can use square parentheses and the x for x in a, and let's see that we got two different, the same thing here, and but I think they're different because if I go b0 equal, change it, you see that changes just a second because they are different, got the same element but in different places, different names. They are twins, like the metaphor I used before. So now what is this? So this is a for loop here that is the same of doing this, but it's more compact than say for x in a, b equal, b append x. Let's see if the same thing. Yes, it's the same thing, but so it's more, it's just we got three lines instead in this for x and x. um, Sorry, x for x in a, it's the same as you can see, but you can do something. You can double it, you see, you can do some operation here. You can go and make for free, can make the square on every element. 3 is 9 is the square of 3, etc. 25 is the square of this. 10,000 is the square of 100, and so on. You can do at the operation, transform it into a string and attach to a sign here. Okay, just to say so, and so these are list comprehension. So you can copy each element and also apply some stuff to the element that makes the second one a derivation from this one with some operation on them. It's very useful and compact, nice to read, etc. Save spaces in your list of code in your code, and you can also use this for libraries, for dictionaries. We will see them. Now let's see if we can. Now we have these two lists that are the same. Let's make another list that is a plus b and see what is like. It's the combination of both. Let me make them the same so that we can see that we get two elements of each one. So you can make this operation with, let's see if we can subtract. We cannot. Let's see if we can divide it. Nope. For this we should make some kind of operation like a minus b for and a minus n for a in a for b in b. Don't know if this. Okay, so we have the first element of C is 3 minus 3, let's make it a little easier here to see. 3 minus c is 0. 3 minus 67 is minus 64. 3 minus 80 is minus 77. 3 minus 5 is minus 2, etc. And then this minus this minus this minus this. Okay, with this we did this thing here. And let me see, the len of c is 25 because we have 5 elements. For 5 elements, 5 for 5 is 25. Okay, so we can do this stuff here that is quite compact, and we also could do another little things. We can explain another interesting things. We can do if a element item of A minus element of B is greater than 0. So we want to avoid all the negative numbers. You see that we have just this. Instead of 25 elements, now we got just 10 elements because 15 elements are negative. So you see, you can use this if at the end to make some selection of the things that you need to do. Another, speaking of this thing, I wanna talk, let me see, about variables. We had talked about variables, and maybe something. Okay, if else, elif. Another thing that I wanna for item in a, if e it's greater than 10, print e. So we're gonna print all the numbers that are greater than 10, else print too low. Okay, we got two numbers that are too low, that are 3 and 5. We got also another things that want to show, that is elif. Elif e is equal 5, print this is 5. And you see, this is too low. It's any number below 10. 67, 8, they are good, so they will be printed because they are more than 10. And 5, it's not more than 10, so it will not be printed. And if is equal to 5, it will print this as 5, and so it will print this as 5, and so on. So you can use if, elif, and else. Elif is for a particular case, while else is all the cases that are not the previous one. So we have seen this, also this thing, and one other thing that is important, maybe it's okay, we talked about dictionaries, and dictionaries, let's repeat, is something into curly brackets and it has a key. Let's say 1 is 3 is 3. 2 is 65. 3 is 80. 4, yeah, I can make anything. I don't have to follow a specific path. I can do John and Kim is 100. And so, as I said, I can iterate for k in a print k. Let me repeat it. And if instead we want the value, we do a of k, and it's 100 because, let me explain this a of k better to be more explicit. I can access to the value doing chem with the capital letter, a chem. Let me print it. A chem has a value of 100. If I do chemo Sam, it's a key error. Okay, because there is no Sam in here. It will give you an error. And I wanna speak about try and accept. So what happens when you get an error? You can intercept an error. Intercept it and do something. If there is an error, instead of having this and you can catch the error and make the computer do something that you want him to do, like print something. There is no Sam. You see that now the error, there is the error, but instead of printing that stuff that Python usually prints, it will print what you say him to print. Okay, there is no error, and I intercepted. And so you see there is no Sam, so you could also have done something like this. And I want to teach you another thing. Use the F here and go and use the square curly bracket here and print an E here and go. There is no Sam, so we use this variable here to put it inside. We could have done always something different inside. Instead of doing this F, we could have gone and do format E, and we have this exactly the same thing just to see that it changed when I put something in here. And so we can use format like this, or the I repeat, I can use the F before and put E in here, the F here, the F here, and go, and it's just the same. And with Python, I think from 3.7 we can use this. And I remember that I have the import sys. If you want to see the version that you're using of Python, you can go sys print sys version, and you see I'm using the 3.8.1, one of the latest, because if you go to Python dot, and by the way, Python programming, here is my site. I don't have any internet connection right now, and so we are going to, if you go and look into the latest one, we are 29 of March, and if you go into python.org, or to my, this is my blog by the way, pythonprogramming.artivista.org, and as you can see here, there it goes. And if you go to python.org, you can download your version of Python. You can download Python from many sites, etc., you go here, Python 3.8.2. So I think I am gonna install the latest version here. Maybe it's not always a good idea to install just the latest one. You should wait for always a stable thing. You see here are the latest one, but let's do it right now. So upgrade, now you see that now we can upgrade our Python interpreter, core developer, etc. And so it's very easy to understand. You see that I have the 3.8.1 in my but I'm using Sublime Text with the REPL here. Here, if I press another button here, you will see that I can run this. Okay, if I run with this, get always 3.5.1 also with this. Okay, while this is installing the documentation here, it's taking a little time. If you can go into Python, also go into the Windows button and R, and then printing CMD here, writing CMD here, going here and going writing Python. You see I got two versions of Python on my computer, the 3.7. Then if you're gonna go out of the interpreter, do exit, or I can do Py and have 3.8.81. So I got two different versions. I can access to every version writing this Py minus 3.7, and I will use the 3.7, or I can go Py minus 3.8, and I will use the 3.8.1. Now let's see if I can use this latest version. Okay, I've installed the 3.8.2, but let me close this. Let me run again the CMD. Let me go Py. I always get the 3.8.1. Exit. If I go into Python, if you are in on the Mac OS, you should go Python 3. Okay, Python is always this one. There is another thing that I want to show you. If you go in variables here, modify the environmental variables and go here, you can check out here. You have Python 3.8.332. You can also go here, down here, and go modify, and here I got the 3.7. So that is why when I do with the Windows button and R, and in this command line here I write Python, I got the 3.7 instead because I want to use both of them. And if I go Py 3.8.1, I want to say now, I want to see how I can use the new one. Don't know if I can do 3.8.2. The 3.8, I don't know, maybe I must restart, but let me show you another thing. And if I do this Control B, it's always 3.8.1. Let me check out Visual Studio Code, because with Visual Studio Code it's easier to pass using different version. I want to see if it's there. Let me open from somewhere here. You can go here in address bar and do code, and with this dot here, okay, one moment, I have to start CMD. Okay, the CMD, sorry, it's opening my let me open this one, for example, and CMD. Okay, code to start Visual Studio Code from here, and let me create a Python file here, pfile.py. Okay, we got, you see here, Python 3.7, but here we got all the version. I got the 2.7, 3.7, 3.8, and 3.8.2. There is the last one, and I installed the 32-bit. Okay, I don't want this. I want the 64-bit. So I think let's go to download here, 3 point, and down here I want the Windows installer, web-based executable. This is the 64. Okay, so I think I want to install this one. Upgrade, because I installed the 32-bit. I want the 64-bit because my previous version here, I think it's the 64. Yes, so I want to upgrade this one, not the 64-bit version, not the 32-bit version. So I'm installing it again, but for 64-bit this time. And while we are doing this, just to make you see how to update your version, we were talking about try and accept and how to access the different libraries. You see that of course you cannot have two keys of the same value, because if you go here and do A1 equal 4, you let me check out the 1 is 4, as you can see, and as you can see I finished here and I just have the new version here updated, the 3.8.2. I don't know what is new in this version. The second maintenance release of Python 3.8, and this new space, major new features, but this is not of the 3.8, not of the many new features and optimization. And let's see what's new in, if you want to know what's new, and I don't think there are many new things in Python 3.8.2. There we go, new features. This is the walrus sign, and I want to talk right now. Look at this. This is a walrus, and it should look like this sign here, this new syntax uh, symbol here. And now I will show you this sign. So we will, what is this, 64 bits? I've just did it. Okay, oh yes, because I think that I have already did it. I guess, as you see here. Okay, we just got it, 64-bit, everything is all right. So we were talking about this. Okay, you cannot have 2 1. If you give another key here, it will be like this. Instead, we'll go and you do gym equal 36 and go run it. Let's check out for gym with the capital letter. You see here 36. Let me, okay, it's 36. And okay, I've talked you about system variables before, and about sys. With this you can check out many things about the system and about Python. Okay, and let's do something funny here. Version equal sys.version, and then print a version, and you see here it printed our version here. And so what we gonna use, path, Python path, Python version, and let's print also the key here to understand. Okay, Python version, it's this one. Oh, sorry, here I am. Let me do it in another way. For k in a, print k, and then print a of k. So this is a Python version, and also let me do a space here or something that to divide the divisor. Okay, we got here in another way this thing here with Python version, Python path. With the path I want to do sys.path. Syspath tells me where are the Python files. There are many paths for folders related to Python, and let me just print the first one, and let me print everything. Okay, you see game in Python. I don't know why I got this one inside of this. I will check it, but you see user, these are where the files related to the site packages, the data modules of Python. You see you can access to this list through syspath. So mm, what we can talk about always about basic stuffs. We wanna the last thing maybe I want to talk about this time is how you can make a comprehensive dictionary, something like that. And you can go and do equal square curly brackets for K and A. If I wanna create okay, what I did here is to get the value from here and as a key and assigning hello as a value to each key, or let's say for example 0, we'll have this, or we wanna, let's say, reassign to all these keys the value 0 to, for some reason. You see the 3 that was 80, John was 5, and Kim was 100. Now they all become 0 with these list comprehensions. That is dictionary comprehension. That is similar to the list comprehension. So that you can do something like this and work easily with all these variables here. Okay, we should not put a space before the column. Okay, and so that's pretty everything you need to know to start from with Python. And we understand something about lists and dictionaries and variables, and something about tuples, and maybe we should talk about also saving data on the computer. It is also very easy, and for example, if you got a text like buy the milk and you wanna save it on your computer, you just use with open memo.txt as file.write, so write in the file the text that is buy the milk. Okay, let's do it. No such file or directory, because we have to put a comma here and do W here to say that you want to write, not instead. If you don't put the W, it means that you want to read the file, and the file should exist. But you want to write, and you can write a file that do not exist. Here it is, nothing happened, so it means that it's gone everything right. We find the file here. This is the file with our code that we are writing. You see, with the symbol of Python and ends with .py. Instead, this is the file that we just created, and inside there is written buy the milk. Alright, and let's say that now we want to read that file. So we will do with open memo, that is the name we gave to the file, memo.txt. We don't need to put read, but we can do it. This R is for read as file. Um, let's say for okay, let's print file. Let's see what happens. Okay, instead print file dot read by the milk. We can also do read lines, and it will create a list of string for one for each line. If you don't believe it, let's go here and write second line. Save it, go here, run it again, and you see by the milk second line. What is this? It's the new line. It tells that here there is a new line. It's not written attached, but it's in a new line. What if I don't want this in here? Well, you just can do something like okay, let me see. We did this. We can do file equal file read lines, or by the f. Then you do f equal, if you're gonna use list comprehension, f dot strip for x dot strip for x and x in f, print f, and you see that we don't have this one because of this strip that takes away the character at the end, like a new line or a space. And okay, this is pretty everything. Just the last thing I want to show you is import OS. It's the thing that I frequently do. Instead of, as you see, you've seen I opened it with the line and opened the memo.txt. If I want to do it automatically with the computer, I can do os dot start file memo.txt. So if I just run this, it's not defined because you must put this. There you go. It's automatically open the file with os.startFile. So this is another useful thing. And apart from this, there is also os.system, and here you write start memo.txt, and it's the same. This is the command that you could give to your command line, right? If you go in here and open the command line and do start memo.txt, you see it opens it. So when you do this, it's just like you open the command line and input a file, like when you use system. If you use a start file, I think you don't have it on Mac OS. You don't need start, it will start the same. So if you want to give a command, any command, do system and then give the command in here. And what else? With OS, that is very useful. You can also do list there, and let's say x equals there, print x, and you see the list of the files that are in the memory. And so if you want to get the first one, you do x0, and get the second one, get s1, can iterate for for files in X, print files, and so on, right? And that's all for the introduction to Python, most basic thing, and maybe 90% of the things that you need to know about Python. I hope you like this kind of video. Maybe if you like this one, I will let me know, so that I can make another one on this basic stuff that you are going to use in maybe 90% of your code, because basic stuff that are useful to do are very basic, very simple, but they are useful to do when combined very complicated and useful things to animate, to to make automation of things that you wanna make faster with the help of Python. That is great in at automating things, and its language is so clear with the indentation, with the simplicity and clearness, clarity. I don't know how to call it, but it's so that is why it's the number one language today, and it's the most it is used everywhere because of this this characteristic that it has, that are very very nice to to be used. So thank you, and see you next time with Python's code. Thank you.